Not up yet. There it goes.
Alrighty, so you guys can
Okay,
go
are
ahead.
we ready to go? Okay, sounds good. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Overwatch Oasis League. We are getting close to wrapping up week 15 here in Tier 3, and we've got a great matchup for you. It is the rematch of the Season 3 Championship. Duck Duck Dive versus Corgi. These teams have a long history with a lot of battles together, and this one should be just as exciting as those previous ones. I am Mr. Game and Kirby, joined by a cryptographer, and the caster tonight is Red Hood Kitty.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, Lijiang Tower. Looks like we're going to see the pretty typical Rein Zarya look coming out. I'll be interested to see if the Echo on the side of the Corgi stays. That's a little interesting of a pick in these tight corridors, though in the mid-fight, it can make a lot of sense. And we're both seeing both sides have a Sombra?
I'm a little surprised that we don't see a Junkrat yet from either of these teams, considering how strong he is here on Control Center. I mean, going up to that main White Room fighting spot, I mean, you can easily lob grenades in and do a ton of damage, but it does look like both teams are going to go on to the Sombra, which I actually like as well.
Indeed, I like the Sombra pick. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Round one, capture.
And then, so we're going to see... it's quite the charge out of gravity. So we're going to see Ashe versus Echo. An interesting lineup on either side.
So we did see Duck Duck Dive. They took the longer rotation over into the Black Room. Gravity trying to get aggressive onto Insane, who has returned to this Duck Duck Dive lineup, was one of their core members last season. Nardemo actually finds the opening pick, but Insane is also down, and right now we do see Corgi, they are able to capture the point first. Wakocha is down, so Duck Duck Dive can come back into this, and look at how high charged Sucker Bees is. He easily takes out Eldritch Arcana. But the fight is still up for grabs. Insane on his way back, not able to connect with the Fire Strike, and Insane is hacked. That might be easy pickings for Corgi. Insane does get behind cover and get the peel he needs, but is gonna maybe force Duck Duck Dive to move back, and KDB is down. This is gonna be, it looks like, Duck Duck Dive regrouping.
D3 stayed in that fight far longer than I think they probably should have. Just feeding lots of ultimate charge and all the point time in the world, without ever really setting up a complete fight.
It's one of those tough calls because the team fights were actually incredibly close. I mean, they could have turned it around, but yeah, it's just one of those things in retrospect you wish you had backed up and maybe taken the 6v5 advantage. Insane already down once again. Almost up to that shatter, but Uravity has his. He looks like he's attempting to get in position, might not even need it. Lily Night Raven is already down, and Corgi are going to go very aggressive on this. They have the Lucio, they're trying to speed to Insane, and Insane actually drops the first shatter. Meg Dragon avoids it and drops the sound barrier. Gravity doesn't really find anything with his either, and Sucker Bee's going to use the Graviton Surge, and all the picks are going in favor of Duck Duck Dive, and it looks like they will be able to capture this point for the first time right now.
That really couldn't have gone any worse for the Corgi, using both of their support ults and overlapping them, leaving them completely defenseless as they went in for the grab. Relatively speaking, a pretty low cost fight for Duck Duck. It was only using the Coalescence and, well, technically the Shatter, but got it back. And then
we do see Strife initiating with the EMP. Lily Night Raven gonna stay patient with theirs. Picks are actually going very back and forth. It's about a 2v2 on point, and Villian is so incredibly low. If only Corgi knew how low Villian was, they could easily take him out, and Strife is able to get that pick, and here comes Uravity and Mag Dragon back. It'll be them versus Insane here on the point. He has the bubble. KDB gonna commit the sound barrier to buy Duck Duck Dive some time to get back to the point, and Gravity does go down, and there's Lily Night Raven getting in position to use the EMP, and Insane dropping the Shatter immediately takes out Eldritch Arcana. Okocha does take out one, but has to sacrifice themselves, and Strife going down, that's another team fight victory here for Duck Duck Dive. They're looking pretty strong here after capturing the point.
This has looked pretty messy on both sides. A lot of probably late ults, both in terms of too late, as in your team's already lost, and your team has already won. So it really, on both sides, a little questionable ult economy. But we do see another ultimate fight coming in on the side of Corgi Cores, and are already punishing that front line very hard.
Okocha able to build up a shatter with the duplicate, and the picks are going once again in favor of Corgi Core. We do see Villain using the Coalescence, Magdragon also dropping the Sound Barrier. Demo able to take out Coucha, but with Strife getting double kill there at the end. It looks like Corgi Core will be able to retake this point, but Duck Duck Dive should have another fight, and they have the EMP, but Strife does as well.
So if they can chase down these kills at the end, I don't think there will be a real recontest option. Unless the Sombra is in position, and the Sombra is dead currently. So that is probably this round going to the Corgi Core. Unless Zuckerbees can make this run back in 6 seconds.
Wrecking Ball. And there's the grab to trap Duck Duck Dive off a point, and yeah, great job by the Corgi Core to make sure Duck Duck Dive did not get back to the point there. They will take a 1-0 lead here on Lijiang Tower.
If the rest of this map and the rest of this match is as back as forth as that, we're going to be in for quite the humdinger this evening.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if we see this go the distance, honestly. Both of these teams, again, with the storied history, the championship game, as much as Corgi Core were probably the favorites, and they did end up winning, it was actually fairly close, 4-2, the final scoreline. So these teams, they know each other very well. I think a lot of them are friends within the server. And a lot of this is maybe for a little bit of bragging rights, You
do see Corgi's running out on the exact same thing, but D3 running on quite the interesting comp. A lot of CC and displacement abilities.
Insane goes down early though. Really Night Raven on that sim. Standing on the point for a while, and there it is, high beam charge. Ardemo also finding a couple picks here, and Duck Duck Dive will take the first cap here on Night Market thanks to a nice sim teleport strat, which has been becoming the new norm here on Night Market.
Indeed, very common. I'm actually quite surprised to see the Corgis not run it, given that they do run a fair bit of sim on Lijiang in general, and in a couple of other spots as well.
Who do you think would run the sim in this instance?
Usually you'd have
Okocha?
Strife playing it.
Okay, Strife would play it. So here we go, Ardemo gets taken out first here, no res on either team. Actually both teams have the Moira, Brig, Mirror. Zuckerbees gets hacked, but isn't too low, but Insane he has to retreat to his team. Does get the healing, and Billy's gonna pop the Coalescence. Eldritch Arcana close to theirs, but he's very low. And Insane able to take out Magdragon. Eldritch does commit the Coalescence, but not much is being found. In fact, look at how many members of Corgi Core are incredibly low. Gravity down to the skin of the teeth for health. And it does look like Duck Duck Dive will win another team fight here. And they only had to use the Sim Wall and the Coalescence.
I feel like Corgis are dropping their spaghetti a little bit, because I'm going to make the bold call saying this is a terrible comp that D3 are playing. The ball here is just the vainness of I'm going to get boop kills. Otherwise, you're better off playing Diva or Zarya or Sigma or Orisa, literally any other tank except maybe Winston. But the Corgis aren't walking at them like I would, hope to see. There's no frontline protecting Insane really, and they're just getting picked out.
And another reason Duck Duck Dive are looking so strong right now is Ardemo absolutely going off on this Doomfist. He got 3 kills in that previous team fight. Gravity is going to be able to touch, but gets taken out right away. He did not use a single shatter, I don't think. There's still a lot of ults on the side of Corgi Core, but they're dropping like flies. They might not be able to use any of them. Strife gonna come in here and not able to use EMP. Oh my goodness, Corgi and Hopkins throwing in the Hail Mary grab, but he's not gonna be able to get to point, and that was a very tough round for Corgi, as I don't even think they really used any of their ults at all.
No, that was absolutely abhorrent from the Corgi. That was a shameful display. Building and not even using your ults. In a comp where your entire goal, you're playing Junkrat, and I guess the Sombra is not a run at you character, but you're playing a hyper sustained rush comp with Brig Moira, and you're not engaging. You're not using ults. Like, that is just exceptionally poor from them. But excellent play on the side of D3.
Yeah, they have come to play tonight. Their postseason lives are at risk right now. If they lose, I believe they will be eliminated. So here we go. Just like you were talking about, Strife is going to go to the sim here. Both teams going with that sim teleport strat that you see very frequently on this point. Kocha does get the opening pick. Mag Dragon is down, but the pick's already going in favor of Corgi. Gravity able to take out his counterpart, and Insane Zuckerbees actually finds the environmental kill and is able to take out Ant Hopkins with the help of Villainy. Gravity still on the point here, has to be careful because our Demo is back on the Junkrat. Under Sharkana is also here, and she does take out our Demo. And there's Gravity Shatter already building up and using one more than they used in the previous round, but Duck Dive kind of turning this around actually. Zuckerbees building up the mines, and here comes Insane. Now he'll follow up on his Shatter, but the picks are still starting to go back in favor of Duck Dive, and they will capture the first point here.
The Corgis simply left their teleporter up after winning the fight, and they were rightfully punished for it. That was such a poor oversight. They're playing very poorly this evening, just in terms of their focus and what they're doing. You can't get the first. You can't go up like 5-3 and then
Oh, and Zuckerbees getting the double environmental kill. Lily Night Raven also taking out Strife, and I feel like if you're Strife, you maybe do have to consider swapping off of this sim right now. Now that Lily Night Raven is the one that is on point.
And again, with no speed, taking Coast here is not right. Like, it's just objectively the wrong play. It's probably the wrong play even with speed, but especially without.
So we are in for a triangle fest right now. Both of these teams initiated with the rally. Mag Dragon did have the coalescence advantage, but our Demo comes in with a tire. He finds two, and Strife's wall not able to really save them. It looks like Duck Dive are going to win again, and we are getting very close to one team fight territory. And Corgi, they can't find an answer right now.
No, this is incredibly sloppy. And incredibly rehearsed on the side of D3. Like, D3 are not making any errors, even as they play a composition that is a little disjointed.
Here we go, Strife is going to swap to the Pharah now, trying to pump in those rockets through the window, accidentally runs out of fuel over the chasm, and that's a massive shatter from Gravity, but will it be enough? The follow-up just isn't there. That would have been perfect if Strife hadn't fallen there, and I don't think that there's any way Corgi in this round, and Duck Dive, with their playoff hopes hanging in the balance right now. They come through with the clutch, and they take the 1-0 series lead.
Yeah, that was excellent play on the side of Duck Dive.
We'll say for sure that these healers were exceptional in this map, keeping their tanks alive. Insane able to get away with maybe out-aggressing Gravity at times because we saw such great support. This is definitely, this duo right here of Villain and KDB definitely might be the best duo that Duck Dive can field. And that's saying a lot, because their support line has actually been one of the things I would say that has remained pretty solid throughout this season, where they have struggled at times, but have started to play a little bit better recently.
Oh.
Now, Corgi, they do have a couple of substitutions if they want to use them. Firestorm Rebel can come in and, of course, play that Junkrat, and Gamer's Blood, he can come in and play whatever the heck he wants, and he'll probably be good at it. So they're gonna start, this next map that they've got is Blizzard World, and, well, you were my partner for that game. Let's remember back against Cosmic Omnics, that map was not even close.
No, that was what looked to be a very close point one turned into absolute non-competitive points 2 and 3. I don't know if Corgi's scored meaningful kills on point 3 outside of the opening trades. Maybe 1 or 2, but they were never even in a position to vaguely contest that fight.
Now, you would have to hope that Corgi likely practiced on Blizzard World, maybe have a little bit of a better strategy this time around, and the good news is they don't have to attack first this time. They can defend first and maybe make their lives a little bit easier. Getting a full hold here, which we do see sometimes on Blizzard World. I think I was with you and I kind of mentioned, Blizzard World feels like you either see a full hold or a map completion. It's just the kind of map that it is. It's kind of one of the easier, overall escort maps to kind of snowball all the way to the end. That and our other escort map in this map rotation, Junkertown. So Corgi could put themselves right back into the series with the great defense.
Indeed, they can. Never count the Corgis out. They are resilient little beasts.
Yeah, I will say, I think if there is a weakest game mode from them, I would probably say it's Control. They do a lot better, especially on defense, when they have, better choke point advantages. If they lose a fight, they usually do a really good job at grouping up, bunkering down at the next point, and winning the next fight. Just something about this attack-defense structure on all these other maps besides Control, has them using their ults a little bit more efficiently. Their positioning is better. Corgi definitely are not out of this even remotely. They've come back from far worse before.
Indeed.
So we are gonna see some subs here for. I tried to say both swaps and subs there, and I said swubs. So
what is it here? If Dr. Dive wins, they still have a chance at playoffs, right?
Yep. But if they lose, they will. Well, okay. So right now the scenario is if they lose and We the Ops wins against Tantalizers, all the teams have clinched their spot, which means that Dr. Dive can no longer make it. But if they win here, no matter what the result is of the We the Ops game, Corgi control their own destiny for the most part, I believe. Yeah. So one thing that would make it a little interesting is with the whole We the Ops versus Duck Dive prospect
versus Tantalizers, or was it?
Yeah, so the thing is that's kind of hurting We the Ops right now is they do not have a very good map differential right now, -9, and even that is with the forfeit that they will get from C9. So even if they beat Tantalizers 4-0, they'll only be at a -5 right now. Duck Duck Dive at -8. I mean, you're looking at they just need to win both of these games. The only way that they could win both of the games and not make it is if We The Ops 4-0 and Duck Duck Dive win both of these games in map 5, because remember, Duck Duck Dive, they have the tiebreaker because they beat We The Ops a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and I think don't they get a free week for the last one since they were gonna face C9?
Yeah. So We The Ops, they kind of got the shorter end of the stick because they had yet to play C9. So if the C9 situation hadn't happened, you know, we're talking like We The Ops could have had a chance to do what Duck Duck Dive didn't do, and that is beat C9. That was a really huge thing for Duck Duck Dive. They got an 8-map swing based off of the C9 forfeit because they got 4-0'd by them back in week 3. So, interesting playoff scenario, and what makes this even more interesting is that Duck Duck Dive's final game is against Tater Pots, another team that is struggling mightily right now and already eliminated from playoff contention. You know, obviously, you hope that every team brings it their all every week, but if you don't have as much motivation, you know, what happens if you lose the first map and now you're already frustrated? Travis.
What's up, Travis?
Travis, we're doing a league game.
Hi, Travis.
I feel like he was gonna say something. But yeah, it's just like some of these teams that were just they looked so strong last season. Corgis, Tater Pots, even no quacks required, and then this season they're just watching them struggle. It's kind of hard to see it.
Yeah, it's feels like the only consistency we've had is with Pizza Planet. They're still among one of the better teams, but you could argue that they are slowly being surpassed by the likes of, you know, White Walkers obviously clinching their first seed, but Duck Duck Dive right behind, or not Duck Duck Dive, Diving Phoenix right behind them. Nova has been looking incredibly strong. Cosmic Omnics on the rise. We have definitely seen a big kind of shift in power here recently, especially, you know, both Cosmic Omnics and Diving Phoenix missed the playoffs last season, so. But to get into the game, it looks like we're going to see Double Shield out from Corgi Core, and we're going to see kind of a brawly comp here on the side of Duck Duck Dive with the Planetaria.
So we see heavy poke with the Corgis really kind of trying to replicate what they had, had so much success against them last week on this point.
So Gamer's Blood finds the opening pick, he finds 2. And look at this, Eldritch Arcana playing some DPS. It was kind of funny, before the stream started, we were kind of joking about that, but look at this, Eldritch Arcana coming in to play Ashe and already got a couple picks. You know, it's interesting, and Strife gonna be on the support, did play support on Blizzard World last week. So, interesting lineup switches here for the Corgi Core, maybe trying to find some new tricks up their sleeve, as you know, they have struggled a little bit, especially against a lot of these better teams.
Absolutely. Corvo, or Eldritch, I'll always call him Corvo, has a very eclectic hero pool. And prior to picking up Wakocha and Gamer's Blood, he was one of the DPS opportunities / backups. And now they're seeing it utilized.
Gamer's Blood with a nice flank. Tyre uses the concussion mines to get right behind Duck Duck Dive and immediately gets a triple kill. And yeah, look at this. We're already starting off really well here on the defense. Our Demo, though, up on the high ground, able to take out Eldritch Arcana. That will likely be rezzed, and our Demo will go down. So now here we go. All the ults are going to be coming online shortly for both of these teams. What do you think the win condition is here for Duck Duck Dive?
The win condition for them here is probably take another neutral fight to build ults, or land just an insane, no pun intended, shatter.
Yeah, that is interesting. We do see Insane swapping to that off-tank role. Killerbot has been known to play more of that main tank role for Ducted Dive, so it does make sense, and Insane does have a pretty good off-tank hero pool as well. Gamer's Blood and Elder's already getting picks here. They've only had to use the Supercharger and Bob, and Villain even committing the Coalescence. We're almost down to a minute, and Duck Dive struggling here on their attack, kind of like Corgi Core did last week.
In a very, very similar turn of seeing the same thing as last week, Gamer's Blood has now lapped Admantum by over 50% in terms of ultimate charge built, and we see Admantum swap, so 3 minutes in hasn't built a tire. That should give you an idea of how much damage Gamer's Blood is doing, and simultaneously how little opportunity is being provided to D3.
Now we actually see the Orisa Zarya coming out here from the side of Duck Dive. Killbot already incredibly low, does get the healing, and KDB is going to initiate this fight with the rally, but look at how many ults Corgi Core has. Under Charkana, incredibly low. We'll get the healing in here. Bob out from our Devo, but Adamantine is already down. And there's the tire from Gamer's Blood and the River Flux from Manhawk. They both find several kills. Only about 10 seconds left. Mag Dragon cleaning this up with the Coalescence, and I don't even think anyone from Duck Dive is going to be able to touch. Villain is kind of close, but Gamer's Blood, a keen eye on him. Killerbot not able to make it with the Wrecking Ball. And there we go. That is exactly how Corgi Core need to get back in this series, getting the full hold here and giving themselves a good chance at winning this map. Because I think after last week with their attack, I think there's nowhere to go but up.
I mean, they just did the same thing that was done to them, for all intents and purposes. So I think there's a high likelihood that they managed to touch the point this week, which they did not do last week.
You are like almost correct, because they had that one rotation where they had like a 5v6 and they were like near the point, but they lost the fight immediately. Like they just could not get through the chokes here. It was especially who was it for
Zombie Dylan's Fire Strikes.
Yeah, and then who's playing the Junkrat?
They had Rocky Top.
I think it was
Junkrat.
it was
classic.
Yeah.
Rocky Top, and then who else was on DPS? Crossfire.
Was that when
Crossfire on Ash? Yeah.
On Ash, yeah. What would happen is the Corgis would rotate, and you'd have Uravity and Ant in the front line, and then you'd have the DPS, and they would get picked off. So Corgis would just be left off with the tanks and the healers, and have to wait for the DPS, and then restart the whole rotation again. And it just ate up their time.
So here we go. We are going to see kind of a reversal of what these teams ran on the previous round. We're going to see the semi-brawl with the flanking Genji out here from Gamer's Blood. Gamer's Blood electrifying Genji this year. He does go down right away, but look at this. Quick rotation over to the point here. Immortality Field out from Villain, and with Uravi down already, this isn't looking too good. The first fight on the side of Corgi Core. And yeah, that will be pretty easy cleanup here for Duck Dive. Can Strife get away? Yes, it looks like he will.
So that was pretty much half ult charge for all of D3 and quarter to a third on the side of the Corgi Core. But we forced them to reposition, and they're now going to have the opportunity to take this high ground and probably attack from the angle that they were really looking for. I expect them to do the full long all the way around the rear.
Yeah, Gamer's Blood getting picked off early in that last team fight definitely hurt. Already kind of low here in this one. Night Dragon does have the Coalescence ready, but our Demo already building up the Bob. Which are kind of actually kind of alone up here on the high ground, trying to throw some shots in. KDB gonna use the Valkyrie, but gets taken down by Uravi. Here comes the Coalescence from Night Dragon and the Bob out from our Demo, but so many members of Duck Duck Dive are incredibly low. Ravi just keeping that shield on the Bob to make sure it gets no value, and that will be a borderline team kill. And Corgi Core, they put themselves right back in the series with a dominant performance on Blizzard World, which was literally the exact opposite of what happened last week. Hate to keep harping on about it, but it's 100% true.
Well, when you see such a fundamental change, it's hard not to repeatedly bring it up. This was, I believe, the same attack and defense comps that the Corgis were using, and they clutched it this time. Slight manning change. I think they had Acid playing Ashe and Natalie Firestorm on Rat last week. So a pretty significant.
I think it was Firestorm Rebel and Gamer's Blood, because remember that was Gamer's Blood debut map, and
right.
Just about nothing. This time around, though, he might have actually been the player of that round. He was incredible on the Junkrat there, really outplayed Adamantum, and so now here we go. Series tied at 1 apiece. Duck Duck Dive can never be easy for them. So they still, again, have their playoff hopes hanging in the balance. They need to get this victory, or else, well, I say this because it's very likely we see Weops beat Tantalizers. Tantalizers definitely have struggled all season. That being said, Weops definitely among the candidates you would say to maybe lose a game like that, but so obviously if you're Duck Duck Dive, you just want to make sure you win out here and make sure you don't have to worry about that, because in a way they actually do kind of control their own destiny right now. If they get both of these wins, as long as they don't bring them to map 5s, they should be good to go. They'll make the playoffs.
Indeed, and kind of the same thing with Corgi Core. I believe they need one win to clinch a spot in playoffs, and their options.
They've clinched already.
Wait, the Corgis?
Yeah,
did games happen that caused them to clinch? Because they hadn't last week.
I think it's just these next two matches.
The C9 forfeit gave them the edge.
It'll decide what spot they are, I think.
Because even though the C9 situation really did a lot of things, at the end of the day, because the Ops still had the game left to go, and they weren't really affected by the C9 forfeit, other than the fact that they got that extra win. We actually did not see the magic number, which is kind of a baseball term. Once you get to a certain number of wins, you clinch the playoffs. The magic number remained at 6, and Corgi Core, they got the 6th win with the C9 forfeit, and so they are in the playoffs officially.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I was thinking last week they had to win one of their last 2, and their last 2 are D3 this week, and then is it DP next week?
Do they face DP next week?
That actually sounds correct. I do not believe I remember that game happening this year.
Their last game was a humdinger. And this is obviously turning out to be quite close as well. Certainly no gimme. But I think if you have the option of, getting your win versus Duck Duck Dive or versus Diving Phoenix, I think I would prefer my odds versus Duck Duck Dive most any day of the week.
Yeah, they do play Diving Phoenix a lot the last week.
And Diving Phoenix getting an incredible statement win over White Walkers. Very close game for sure, but they are really setting themselves up. It was kind of interesting. That match was, we were hyping it up early on in the season when both those teams were 4-0, and then Diving Phoenix kind of slipped a little bit. They lost a couple games in a row to Peace Planet and Nova, but they have definitely picked things up and are honestly maybe looking like, well, I would definitely say they're looking like a top 3 team once again. So playoffs really shaping up to be incredibly entertaining. I cannot wait.
It looks like we are taking our bit of our time with these swaps.
I think it's a case of between the two. That first map was a roll, so you probably take a moment to recollect yourself, ensure that your comp is lined out, you know what's going on. And then the opposite happens probably after that map for Duck Duck Dive, where they're like, pause for a moment, compose ourselves, get ready to go. Which is why we allow, you know, at least a little bit of flex time.
And I'm not gonna lie, I did not know, unless I did not know Live in Truth went to Duck Duck Dive.
Yeah, it was in the
when
same.
did it happen?
Because same day that they also picked up Lost Vein, I believe. It's been a couple weeks. They just couldn't play them last week because I think they didn't add them in time.
Okay, I see. July 15th, Live in Truth. Release from Valhalla. There it is. Okay, yep. Okay, I found it. Yeah, sadly, I do not think Lost Vein played a single game for Duck Duck Dive, or did they play one?
No, they were meant to play last week, but like I said, they weren't added in the roster in time, so they weren't eligible to play.
Another thing to mention is that this team no longer has Haley in their lineup. Has been one of their supports all season, but KDB and Villian, I think, are playing quite well tonight.
And we did see, I believe, Mystic Angel is coming in to play support instead of Vil. Indeed.
We're going to see Daddy Needs You go back to playing DPS. They were playing tank a little bit in these past couple of weeks, and I actually think that he provided them some of their best main tank play of the season. Like, I don't know, I just liked how he was a little bit more aggressive than some of their other tanks have been, but now with Insane in the lineup, he can slide back into his more comfortable role of being on that Junkrat, and they will start on the defense with some double shield here and lots of spam damage for good measure. As for Corgi Core, they're going to go with that same amount of spam damage with the Ash Junkrat, but they're going to go with the double shield, which might be the right play to match the double shield here instead of going like Orion Zarya.
I do feel like if you're not playing a Lucio, playing Reinhardt is always such a dangerous proposition. Not because it doesn't work, but if the other team is running a Lucio, suddenly your ability to make contact is very much lessened. Because they will just run away from you, and they can do it.
And it is tough. Ryan kind of does struggle, especially against Sigma, because of that accretion. Sun can easily take him out really quickly. So, here we go. Corgi Core on the attack.
Corgi's going to rotate the high ground.
Yep. Going to that high ground. It's good to take that right off the bat. Uravity almost gets looped off by Daddy Needs You. Daddy Needs You building up to that tire really quickly, but gains blood right on his trail, and Eldritch Arcana gets taken down. No res is available for Corgi Core. But they are gonna still fight this, maybe for nothing else than to continue to build up some alt chars. That was a good dynamite there from Lily Night Raven, but most of the Corgi Core are relatively healthy here. They don't have to worry about the pulls coming out from Melissa, as Duck Duck Dive did not have and Orisa on their side. So we are going to see Eldritch Arcana coming back. They're going to have the high ground almost all to themselves, trying to find these shots. And Gamer's Blood able to take out KDB. Danny needs you building the first tire, though it gets taken out by Gamer's Blood. Gamer's Blood absolutely popping off. We were talking about this last week on how big of a pickup Gamer's Blood was, because he's been one of the best DPS in the league, and he did nothing. Well, now he's really coming into his own on this roster, and that might be an incredibly scary thought that Corgi Core might have an outstanding DPS player to pair with these great healers and this classic tank duo of Gravity and Ant Hopkins.
Indeed, and that fight was so slow, but well executed by the Corgi. They knew that there was no threat of being pulled off because, again, we discussed the Orisa, and they have all the healing sustain in the world. So just let them, stand there and fight.
Absolutely, Night Raven did get taken out right off the bat, but that will get rezzed by KDB. Insane goes down before the Coalescence healing can come through, and Gamer's Blood on the flank using the tire. It gets two. This might be an incredibly fast attack coming out from KDB trying to use the Valkyrie in order to keep everyone alive, but Eldritch Arcana with a beautiful headshot. Magdragon throwing in the Coalescence. And Hopkins has the Gravitic Flux as well, and that will be it. Gravity did not even need to use the Supercharger, and Eldritch did not even need to use the Bob. That will be an incredibly fast attack here from Corgi Core, who after struggling in the first map have come alive in this series.
That was in the same way that first attack was very slow and cautiously executed. As soon as Strife dropped the Amp Matrix there, they knew that it was go time, and they had basically no recourse, especially with KDB having already, or was it KDB? Eldritch picked someone, I don't remember who for sure, but they knew that there was no way that they were going to be able to sustain through, and sure enough, the Corgis, rolled it on through.
I will say that is something that Corgi Core have been good at since they entered the league, at determining the pace of play within the match. Like, even if it doesn't always work, teams can obviously match that pace of play and outplay them, but it always seems like they're the ones going aggressive, that they're the ones playing back and a little more reserved. A lot of times against Corgi Core, it's kind of tough to play your own style because they just kind of force their own style onto you.
Well, classically, for all of Season 3, and even a little bit early this season, you are going up against Corgis, you plan to play against Brawl, because that's what they were best at, and nobody had, at that point, proven that they were mortal playing Brawl, frankly. You could make them bleed, but never finish them. Interesting rotation on the side of D3.
Yeah, they're actually going for the full-on dive with the Winston Diva, but Gamer's Blood immediately taking out Mystic Angel. That will get rezzed by KDB, so the 66 still up for grabs this time around, though Magdragon is going to be on the Mercy, so Corgi Core will have that available. Lily Night Raven going to the Sombra, and Daddy needs you on the Torb. This is a very interesting choice. This is not typically something you see on Full Sky Attack. You see this maybe on the defense. Gravity, or Insane, trying to put as much cleave damage as he can, almost gets that Primal Rage, but does get taken out by Eldritch Arcana. Live in Truth also up here on the high ground. KDB able to get the res onto Insane, but the picks are definitely going in favor of Corgi Core right now, and with Gamer's Blood pretty much alone here up on the high ground. Will drop down here. Arcana is down, and Ant Hopkins is incredibly low. Here we go, Insane. Look at this Primal Rage. Able to take out Gamer's Blood too. They might have turned this around. Who might be the only one on point here, and will get taken out. And Duck Duck Dive, off the back of a great Primal Rage from Insane, are able to turn the teamfight around and capture point A.
Insane dropped the legendary Primal Blade there. Although we do see recontest. No.
Ooh,
okay.
That is risky. Magdragon able to get away Insane actually continuing to go aggressive on it. Strife down to half health. Does have the regenerative burst. Everyone alive. Gravity.
Corgi Core ult economy in pretty solid position though. The likelihood of snowball here is relatively low.
Yeah, especially with Lily Knight Raven still about 35% away from that EMP. And Gravity having the supercharger, that might be able to just win them the first fight anyway. That will already give them a superior time bank. But both of these support ults being popped by Duck Duck Dive. There is the supercharger from Gravity, and it looks like the picks are starting to go in favor. Gamer's Blood only able to find one with the tire, but it was onto KDB. Big support out of the way, and yes, that will be Corgi Core easily winning this first fight and already guaranteeing them a superior time bank.
Indeed, good restraint from the Corgi Core, something that they have at times struggled with. Only using Gamer's Blood and Uravity's ults and trading them out for, I believe, both of the support ults on the side of D3.
So we did only see those support ults from Duck Duck Dive. They are coming up on a lot of high impact ults, including that EMP, but still a lot of ults here for Corgi Core. Definitely can initiate maybe with the Gravitic Flux or Bob on point to contest, and Insane already down, has a Primal Rage, probably in an unres. Actually, no, I would take that back. KDB able to get that res and able to get away, so here we go with 66 on point, but Insane already taking so much damage from that Dynamite, and KDB was not able to fly away and taken out by Eldritch Arcana. We're gonna have to see Duck Duck Die. They gotta back up once again.
And with that, and D3 has a very strong ult economy coming in the next fight, and honestly, it'll probably be their last. Well, no, they'll have one more big ultimate fight, or they'll just take the early pick, but it is rezzed. But Corgis have 5 of their own. They've actually Gamer's Blood has rebuilt faster than Mystic and Katie.
And Ravi can definitely build up this supercharger relatively quickly as well. But Daddy Needs You finds Eldritch Arcana. Can that be rezzed by Mag Dragon? It looks like it will. And we do see Daddy Needs You throwing the Molten Core, but gets taken down by Uravi. There's the EMP bomb. It doesn't really find anything. Insane is trying to displace him, able to take out Mag Dragon, but these are just not enough picks on the side of Duck Duck Dive. And Hopkins able to use the Gravitic Flux, not able to find anything, but Bob cleaning up Insane. Gravity is down, but I think at the end of the day we will see Corgi Core able to hold here, and they actually held on to both the Amp Matrix and the Valkyrie.
Indeed,
And
Corgis used 3 ults in that fight, and
4.
Did they use? What was the 4th ult?
Yeah, they used Molten Core as well.
Oh yeah, I said Corgis, sorry. And then and D3 used 4 ults, and have reset their ult economy entirely, doing full-scale swaps, I think.
Yeah, going to the Reaper Soldier. This is certainly an unorthodox duo for sure. Hopefully Lily Knight Raven is the one that can contest the Ashe, teleport into those backlines.
So you love to see the legs as a spectator, and you love to see the legs on the enemy team, because usually it suggests when it's a late swap like that, they're not sure what to do. And I'm gonna be honest, rarely is the legs the correct swap, but it is a return to fundamentals of Overwatch. It's a very, you have a job to do, you can do it, you execute, you do lots of poke damage. Mag Dragon picking up the final blow on Live in Truth. Wow, that was quite the stagger fight. And again, they swapped their ultimate economy on the side of D3, swapping Daddy onto the Rat, and then Insane onto Ball, with only 30 seconds left going into this final fight.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Duck Duck Dive right now. 25 seconds left and only 2 support ults to their name right now. They're gonna have to weather a massive storm here. Tire, Bob, probably Gravitic Flux. Night Dragon is gonna initiate with the Coalescence, and once again, I've noticed this from Duck Duck Dive, they've been stacking these support ults. I'm not 100% sure if I like that. And Gamer's Blood able to easily get 2 comboing with the Gravitic Flux, and I think that will 100% be it. Daddy needs you caught in a trap. And Corgi Core, they take the 2-1 series lead, another fairly one-sided map again.
Indeed, that was a if we left the last map with the balance of power sort of nebulous, I would say it is now firmly swung back in the direction of the Corgi Core. Oh, and a couple more. Gamer's Blood really coming alive this evening. 38% of Team Hero damage.
You just hate to see that though. Shooting and then all of a sudden it's at the corner of your eye, a Junkrat right in your face.
Could somebody spam
Blood.
fire for that big tire? That would be usually what I would doing if I were spectating right now. In fact, that's such a good play. I'm gonna find my good old Corgi Core spam notepad doc.
So, now here we go, going on to Junkertown. I would imagine we might see Wakocha come back in. Because I know that Wakocha can play Widowmaker, if I remember correctly.
She can. Her Widow is pretty strong.
And that'll actually be a huge advantage, because Duck Duck Dive, they don't really have a Widow player. It actually has been kind of interesting this year. And I'm surprised we haven't seen more of it from Corgi Core, although they don't typically run it. But you can easily run a Pharah into Duck Duck Dive, because other than maybe Daddy Needs You on the Soldier, they have not had a lot of hit scan prowess. I mean, Gamer's Blood pretty good when he was on the team at like Widow, but you would definitely rather have him on the Doomfist or the Genji or some sort of projectile hero. So we'll have to see if Wakocha does come in and play the Widow. Might have a relatively easy time getting in positions.
Okay, Timo and Admantum coming back in. Wait, where did he go?
And then
He's not in here.
Katie?
He's not here. I can't put him in if he's not in the lobby.
Who's not here?
Admantum.
Oh, yeah. I guess we do, well, I guess maybe I was a little incorrect. Our demo does have actually a pretty good Ashe, so that might, I'm thinking Dr. Diver may be signaling that they're going to be playing like an Ashe Junkrat. Maybe, you know, for sure, starting on the attack, you know, you could run like a pirate ship on Junkertown. We'll have to see what Dr. Dive wants to do here.
I have been really surprised at the lack of pirate ship this season. Like, just in general. I don't feel like there's anything that necessarily makes it worse to play. Bastion has only received buffs. I guess double shield as a raw shield comp has gotten worse. But, I mean, the same is true on both sides.
I think one sneaky thing that we've seen that inadvertently nerfed Bastion was the buff to Junkrat, where his passive detonates a little bit sooner as well as goes a little bit further. Gives some more counterplay to that Bastion, because I mean one of the strategies you can do is just get right next to the Bastion and die, and the Bastion will likely be down. And I think a lot of times that's a worthwhile trade, considering that, you know, frequently when you have like a pirate ship or a bunker, you know, you run like a Mercy BAP, so it's not like your supports are doing a lot of damage. So and if you're also running like a Sigma Orisa, like, they can do some damage, but the crux of your damage is going to be coming from that Bastion, so perhaps that's why we've seen a little less of Pirate Ship. Yeah, I don't know if we've really seen it on Junkertown. I know that Valhalla, I think they ran it a couple times when Dorado was in the map rotation, but yeah, overall, not a common thing to see this season.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, in the end, too, you have to have somebody who's like wants to be dedicated to play Bastion, and because whenever you do run the pirate ship, it's people see Bastion and they're like, okay, that's what I'm going for. They don't want to take out the shields or the healers. They go straight for the Bastion. Because I think we did see that last night in the Tier 2 quarterfinals, that they were running a Bastion and he would get killed. The very first person to go down, and it would get res. So, maybe we don't know. Maybe that's what they brought in at Mantum to run that Bastion.
Yeah, that actually could be a
Even
possibility.
though I've never seen him play Bastion, but I mean, we can't really say that. We never saw Daddy Needs You play main tank, and we saw him play quite a bit of that a few games ago.
We have readies from both teams.
Okay. We are going to see Corgi run the same lineup, and yeah, I must be having brain farts right now, because Gamer's Blood can absolutely play the Widow here, too, if they need him to. And although we'll have to see, maybe they do want to run a double sniper. Eldritch Arcana has not played anything besides Ashe, so perhaps they will want to keep Gamer's Blood on the Junkrat, especially if they maybe are thinking of a possible pirate ship, although our demo teasing us with the Widow right now might want to... I mean, can't go wrong with Widow on Junkertown. Even back in Goats days, like, you'd still
run the old Widow Goats.
Yeah. Place like the Diva.
It seems likely that we're going to see double sniper variants from both sides, but I suspect one team will run the Ashe and one team will run the Hanzo.
Adamantum looking
or
for
we're
the...
going to forego the Widow entirely on the side of
Gamer's
Corgi.
Blood is gonna stay on the Junkrat, having... I mean, it's hard to blame him, he's having incredible success. I guess I've never thought... You can definitely play Junkrat on point B and C for sure, but I've never thought of point A as a Junkrat point. It's something you always swap to if you lose point A, it feels like.
During the broken Junkrat era, it was used, but I think it was used because people were sleeping on how good Hanzo was in double sniper comps. But we do see them coming out on that double sniper.
Yeah, our demo definitely gonna have the slight advantage. Doesn't need to worry about as much one-shot potential. Obviously, Ashe can still do it, but not to the same extent that Widow can. And Gamer's Blood already finding the opening pick and likely in an unrestful spot. Gillian this time coming in to play the Mercy instead of KDB, and Eldritch Arcana able to dome Adamantum right out of existence. And this is a good start here for Corgi. They burned over 45 seconds off the clock, and the payload is barely getting past this first bridge.
I did notice Strife and Magdragon have swapped roles. Still playing the Mercy BAP, but have rotated the direction that they're playing it, which I think is interesting, because I feel like both played exceptionally well. Corgi's slow rolling this fight in general, giving up cart space, but just taking a ton of time to do it.
Gamer's Blood able to initiate this fight with a tire kill onto Zuckerbees that might get rezzed, and he does take his life for it. Although, no, it does not look like Villian will be able to get that res. Instead, Strife is the one who will res Gamer's Blood, and Adamantum also down. So we're kind of seeing some similar struggles here from Dr. Die that we saw from Corgi last week, where they're losing members just too early in these team fights to really be equal.
The way that the Corgi Court are, well, they're gonna have at it.
And we're gonna see Gravity off the supercharger. Here comes Bob out from Eldritch Arcana. So 2 ults being used on the side of Corgi Core. Insane also used his supercharger, but to no avail. Zuckerbees actually gets taken down by the Bob, and Strife, sick of waiting for the picks to come in Corgi Core favor, he just takes matters into his own hands and takes out the Widow. And another team fight victory is looking almost a certainty here for Corgi Core, as there's only 4 members left, although the respawns are relatively quick. And yeah, Duck Duck Dive, ever since Lijiang, have just been struggling to win these team fights.
I have to wonder if Lijiang wasn't a, oh, we do see Zuckerbees finding Strife.
And actually, oh, yeah, finish your point. We actually are going to see Zuckerbees use his not Amp Matrix, Gravitic Flux, and Gamer's Blood actually finds 2. It looks like this fight was definitely going in favor of Duck Duck Dive. With the Dragons getting the kill onto Ant Hopkins, it looks like it will definitely go back in favor, but look at this. They're so focused on Gamer's Blood that Strife able to get the res onto Ant Hopkins, and Eldritch Arcana and Mag Dragon are on their way back. Gamer's Blood and Gravity are incredibly low, but Strife using the Valkyrie and Adamantum clutch headshot onto Eldritch Arcana. That is a huge pick early on in this fight. Can Strife maybe find that res? It might be a little risky. Ardemo did swap off of that Widow onto the Junkrat, and Villine is already down, and we're under 20 seconds. That's actually a huge pick, because no res will be available. Ardemo might have to commit this tire sooner rather than later. They're actually going to start off with the supercharger, but the picks are going in favor of Gamer's Blood. Both of these tires are coming out, but I think it's too little too late. I don't even think we're going to see a touch, and that is a full hold on Junkertown, which is rare indeed. Definitely.
So I feel like the composition that D3 were playing with Ardemo on the Widow actually would have given them a pretty significant advantage fighting in this area of the map where they ended over the Junkrat, because suddenly you go from like not a super tight choke, but fighting under the bridges here, the spam damage is real. Whereas when you're out on what is effectively an enormous flat plane, Junkrat suddenly becomes not a liability, but you're not just farming spam damage. You're probably playing, you're probably dive bombing people and going on flanks more than you are spamming. And in the other side, you put Widow on any one of, 5 different high grounds overlooking this area, and if you can hit shots, which is always the caveat with Widow, you do have to put the damage out. Like, the power is there. But the Junkrat allowed them to power through to that point, so, it's a trade-off, but it's a interesting piece of tactics that I think was worth noting.
Yeah, I definitely think Ardemo swapped off the Widow, not getting the most value, was playing it into double shield, and the double shield will be back out here from Corgi Core. This time they actually are going to play the Pharah this time around. They're playing into an Ashe, so that is a possibility, but Ardemo already down. Took a rocket to the face from Gamer's Blood, as well as a massive dynamite from Eldritch Arcana, and this is already looking really bad for Duck Duck Dive, who we must remind you is playing for their playoff lives. If this payload reaches point A, that will be Duck Duck Dive being eliminated from the series, and Gamer's Blood, he is absolutely popping off right now. He did close to nothing last week, but he is coming alive, and it's already desperation mode here from Duck Duck Dive. They're gonna wait till the last second. Adamantum is probably the closest one to contesting. Actually, it will be Zuckerbees. They're going to the low ground this time around, and here comes the Immortality Field out from Mystic Angel now on the Baptiste. But the pigs going back in favor, and that will be it. Duck Duck Dive, sadly, are going to be eliminated from the playoffs as soon as Insane falls, and Corgi Core getting a nice bounce back win after they struggled last week against Cosmic Omens.
Play of the game.
And this is going to be an exceptional play of the game. I am really looking forward to seeing this. Oh, I was hoping it was the previous play.
Yeah, the previous one.
Still good.
It's still good, but at that point, Dr. Dive just kind of had to contest the point, whereas the previous play was kind of the winner. Like, I mean, Dr. Dive had to keep backing up, and that's where the risk comes in, where you almost maybe would have rather have died on the cart there and given yourself a better recontest there at the end. So that will be it for this match, and now it is time for MVP talk, and there's definitely some interesting people to talk about.
Our favorite part of the day, MVP talk.
So I have an early comment, kind of gut reaction, but for support line, I think it could go to either Strife or Magdragon, but specifically, I thought Maggie played really well. Especially swapping around roles and kind of playing non-main support as we see Strife come in to play some of those main support roles. The Lucio and the Mercy, and then her picking up Moira and Baptiste, and just playing them exceptionally well, I thought.
And I would definitely agree. Again, we have given this support lineup for Corgi Core so much praise in the past. Eldritch Arcana, obviously one of the support MVPs of the season, and obviously Jack Alosi has not been playing a lot recently, but when he is in the lineup, he certainly has one of the best Lucios in Tier 3. But I was going to say, I feel like for Duck Duck Dive, I would consider giving it to maybe KB. And the only other one I would maybe argue, I guess, is I actually thought Lily Night Raven played okay, especially on that first map there, showing a really awesome sim. So, but then you would be denying
Gamer's
Blood, who played a great series, definitely a bounce back performance after he really struggled there on Blizzard World. That was the only map that he was fielded on, so it's tough to say he legitimately had a poor performance. I mean, that literally everyone on Corgi Core had a poor performance there. So, as for the tank MVP, you know, both Uravity and Ant Hopkins both played incredibly well. So, kind of up to preference, actually. If I would argue that maybe Uravity struggled at points, especially he seemed to struggle a little bit more on Li Jiang there. He was only able to build up that one shatter on Night Market, whereas I think Ant Hopkins played a little bit more consistent throughout the series and had a really great Sigma for the most part.
Like
he was
whenever
really
Uravity switched to Orisa, he seemed more comfortable, you know, than his usual, how he can build Shatter really fast and put him to really good use. But on Orisa, the last couple points, he did really good in Volskaya and in Junkertown.
I would offer up, yes, I agree. I think the Orisa lets him be the glue man a lot more for this team. He has to, I'm not saying it's a less mechanical well, let's be real. You're less, you have a little more time to think when you're playing Orisa than when you're playing Reinhardt. And it lets him, you know, kind of captain this team, make those rotations, have the engagement plan, and sort of do the macro level mid-game planning. Not shot calling during fights. That's a pretty fluid thing from what I've heard of core decoms. But the macro strategy is much easier for him to run with on the Orisa. And I think it shows in how the team in general plays. And I think it shows recently as he's moved into that role, his Reinhardt play has somewhat suffered. I think a lot of it is that other Reinhardts in the league are catching up in a big way, and now he's having to go up against stiffer competition and also sort of run the macro for the team.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually kind of interesting. I don't know. Is the reason Acid Rain hasn't been playing tank, did he hit Diamond on that role?
So my understanding is that Acid, who's actually on a brief hiatus this week as well.
Okay.
Outside of playing Reinhardt, he is not a tank player. He's a Reinhardt player, and then he's a DPS player.
Okay, I see.
So, with the tank line not really having you cannot force Ryan anymore. I just don't think that's an option on most maps. So, realistically, the flexibility kind of pulls him out a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
You could play him on off tank, but you have Ant, who is just fantastic. So.
Yeah, you know, we kind of derailed the MVP topic. I am leaning a little bit more towards Ant for the tank MVP.
Gamers.
And yeah,
I would say gamers.
It's kind of up to you. I'm Gamer's Blood for DPS. But Dragon played pretty well as well. But yeah, I'm. What do you think for the support for Duck Duck Dive?
I would say
thought
KDB.
played the
She
best
did
tonight.
really good on Brig and even on Mercy. Got some really good reses.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree.
I would actually
offer... maybe.
What? Oh, I would say I would offer a Dark Horse option for Duck Duck Dive. Insane played very well on all of the different, and it was multitudinous roles that he played in this match, as well as coming into this team a week ago. Now, is it a real option? I don't know. It's a dark horse kind of a thing. It would only be if you wanted to give Magdragon or Strife MVP over Ant. But I think the discussion, you know, you can at least mull it over. Although generally I agree.
Yeah, he did have that really good play on Volskaya there. Got like 2 kills with the Primal, and even got the 3rd one after the Primal was over. But
the Primal Blade, and he also kind of manhandled Uravity on Lijiang as well.
That's true. I think overall though, a lot of times when it comes to the tank MVP, the thing is with tanks is it'll always be it's a 2-person thing. It really is. You gotta have that solid tank duo, and I think that overall the tank duo for Corgi played better tonight, and Ant Hopkins I think was kind of the main reason that we saw that.
I would agree. I think overall Ant was the best tank in the lobby this evening.
Yeah. So I'm leaning towards Gamer's Blood, Ant Hopkins, KDB.
Yeah,
I think that's a fine option. I think that's solid.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so I guess that will wrap up for today's game. Leaving it at a 3-1 for Corgis. And what's today? Sunday? I think our next game isn't until Tuesday. Which
we do have a makeup game. We did Tantalizers, I believe. Some of them have been affected by the recent hurricanes lately, so they were not able to play on Tuesday. I think most of them had power outage, so they will be able to play here on Tuesday, hopefully, and that is We the Ops' chance. If they get that victory, they will claim the last playoff spot, and I believe this will officially give Valhalla their playoff spot as well, as now the magic number goes to 5. So, and Valhalla 5-5. So there we go. 7 of the 8 playoff spots clinched with an 8, with the 8th in hanging in the balance here. It's we're almost there. We're almost at playoffs, and it is going to be incredibly exciting. So,
alright, so we'll
thank
see
you guys for watching
on Tuesday. And see ya.